Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jay Simons.
Software bugging had me a crash. All the JIRA happened so fast. Filled in fields did not break a sweat. Keyboard shortcuts to fix the null set. Software bugs like your JIRA chugs. Oh, 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 the software bugs.
Tell me more.
It's got ridiculous speed
Tell me more.
and activity feeds. Open components for specs, it's a blast. Wiki markup, a thing of the past. Images, tables, render reflection. This new editor gave me inspiration. Software stacks, let's talk right as flex. Oh, all those software specs.
Tell me more.
It's got whistles and bells.
Tell me more.
It converts table cells.
Many time zones made my head hurt. Bob a second showed up as the third. Slipping schedules because of the time. They got Atlassian fixed it online. Software bugs like a mule JIRA bugs. Uh-oh, the software bugs.
Tell me more.
Time zone tweaks, give some cheers.
Tell me more.
Only took them no years.
Shoot up, 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 yeah.
Pull off the check and find too much code. Repos now and about to explode. Runs breaking, team wants to check it. Where's the version to a host if it like it? DVCS, no more code, that's a mess. Oh, DVCS.
Tell me more.
Easy force from the tree.
Tell me more.
Private repos for free.
Full dev cycle, just what teams need. Atlassian tools increase your dev speed. Code reviews, statistics so sweet. At each milestone, just rinse and repeat. Dev team dreams ripped at the seams by bugs. Oh, summit now.
Please welcome Atlassian co-founder Scott Farquhar.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Atlassian Summit. I told some guys last night that if they turned up on time, we'd make a song and dance for them, so I bet they didn't expect that. I'm the other co-founder of Atlassian. You heard from Mike yesterday, and you'll be hearing from me today, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited because it's a fantastic time to be in software. Software is everywhere. It's in your phones, it's in your homes, your cars. I was talking to one of my staff about this, and they actually have software in their pen. Their pen runs Java and actually does handwriting recognition. So software is powering every product in the planet these days. And when you drive up the 101, you see billboards advertising jobs. And those billboards aren't advertising for sales jobs or marketers. They're advertising for software jobs. You know, it's a great time to be a software engineer. It's a great time to be a happy nerd. Now, we all know, though, that building software is hard, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have a job and we wouldn't get to build great products. And so our job, and the reason I come to work every day, is to build software that helps you guys make awesome products. So every day at Atlassian, the 300 staff we have around the world, their mission is to make it easier for you guys to build better software, to build awesome products. And I heard last night from some of you and some of the exciting things you guys are building. So today I'd like to talk to you about 3 things. And broadly, though, they all have the same theme, which is how we can help you guys build better software. So let's start off talking about plugins. Now, when you purchase an Atlassian product, you don't just get access to all the features we build, you also get access to the thousands of plugins that are available. Now, we have a plugin community, and each year they produce hundreds of plugins. And I'm pleased to announce that at the moment we have over 750 plugins available in our plugin marketplace. That's 700 pieces of features, 700 bits of functionality that can help you guys build better software, can help you manage your development team processes better. And the plugins you should be most interested in, the ones you should pay special attention to, are the commercial plugins. Because after all, a commercial plugin has someone behind it who's trying to make a business selling to you guys. And last year when I stood here, we had 80 commercial plugins, which is an incredible number. There are 80 pieces of functionality that are worth purchasing. I'm really excited that that's been the fastest area of growth over the last year. And now we have over 200 commercial plugins available. Now, if you're after a diagramming tool in Confluence, you can check out Glyphy. If you're after time tracking, check out the Tempo plugin for JIRA. Now, there's over 200 other plugins that can help you run and manage your development process. So if you're not using those plugins, you're missing out. And last year, I stood up and announced the creation of the Universal Plugin Manager. And the Universal Plugin Manager allows you to browse, download, install, and upgrade those 700 plugins all from within your product without having to leave and search the web for them. And last year we announced that this was shipping for JIRA and Confluence. And I'm pleased to say that over the course of the year, we've also bundled and shipped it with all of our other products. And as of JIRA 4.4, you'll no longer need to restart JIRA when you install new plugins. Now, this is going to save you a whole bunch of time. When you're downloading and installing new functionality, you won't have to schedule downtime in your production systems. You can browse and install these plugins without needing a restart. So that's going to save you a ton of time. Now, it's not just the plugins that have had a great year. We've also had a fantastic year for releases. Last year was the biggest year for Atlassian ever for releases. We did over 21 major releases for our products. And for some of you, though, you're not using the latest versions of our products, right? I talk to you guys, and some people are doing incredible things with their products, and we talk to them, and we're like, wow, what version are you using? And it turns out it's a version, 1 or 2 years old, and we think, wow, you're missing out on all this functionality. And the reason for that is we sometimes make it a little difficult for you guys to install and upgrade our products. Let's talk about that for a moment. Now, we'd hoped that installing and upgrading our products is probably like this. Maybe takes a little bit of time, maybe some time to multitask, get some other stuff done while the process works. But you guys have told us it's not good enough. You guys have told us we need to do better. Such as Chris, who compared installing JIRA to waterboarding. So we set out to do better. We didn't want to just build a good installer. We wanted to build a great install process for you. And so we partnered with the guys at Install4j, who've done an excellent job of helping us improve this process. In fact, we wanted to make it so good that we were pushing the limits of what Install4j could do. And Install4j were actually shipping us nightly builds with new features and new functionality so that we could, push the boundaries of what was possible with an installer. So let me, without further ado, I'll go through and show you how this installer is going to save you a ton of time. So the installers are available for Windows and Linux, and they can run in a command line or a graphical mode. Now, we bundle Java, with them, so you don't need to download that separately. We'll also set up all the home directories and all the things that are needed, and we check if there are any ports in use, right? Because we know that's often an issue is you install a product and it conflicts with something that's running on an existing port. We'll also set it up as a service. So your products will automatically run when your computer starts up. And previously you'd have to edit some very arcane config files to get our products running as a service. And lastly, one of the huge improvements is allowing you to have database configuration, a graphical database configuration. You don't have to edit configuration files. So we think that's going to save you a ton of time. And for those of you who install our products multiple times or want to install on a QA system before you do it in production, we also have an unattended install, which means that you can run the installer once, save all the settings that you've done, and then replay that on the different systems you have to do the install for. So that's going to save a ton of time, and that means that you'll be running the latest versions of our products, and I won't have to talk to you and explain all the great features that we've got that you're not taking advantage of. But for many of you, you already have our products, and so it's not about installing, it's about upgrading. And you've told us that upgrading is a painful process as well. You have to back up and more backup and then some even more backup, and it takes hours and you get bored, so you read XKCD, because then you check your customizations, have I missed anything, search for plugins, make sure they work in the new version of the system, make sure the config changes get replicated, restore that backup that I made a couple of hours ago, which might take a couple of hours in itself, and get frustrated and then get even more frustrated. So we started with one simple goal. We wanted to make an upgrading process awesome. We wanted to make you guys happy. And that installer that I mentioned before, the one you saw the demo, that doubles as an upgrader. So it will detect if you have an existing version of our products. If you're running JIRA already, it will detect that it's already running and prompt you to upgrade. Right? It takes care of all the config files you've changed. Right? So if you've actually edited files on disk already, it will take your changes and migrate them into the new version. And if you've done extensive customizations, if you've made changes to files that, added logos or modified our source code for some reason, it will actually detect that and walk you through the process of migrating those changes as well. So for all of our users, this upgrade is going to make a huge difference. Now let me show you how this works in practice. You can see here we have a version of JIRA running, and this version of JIRA has some changes. We've changed the memory settings, we've added a logo, and we changed the URL and port that it's running on. So if you run our installer, this time we'll run it in graphical mode. And the installer will detect that you have a running version, and instead of prompting you to install a new version, it'll prompt you to upgrade. It'll then ask you to back up, just to remind you that you need to back up your system before you make any changes. And here it shows you the modifications. We've actually added an image to JIRA, right? So the normal config files will be migrated automatically, and it prompts you for the ones that need to be done manually. It'll then open our products with the upgrade manager, and it'll check that all the plugins you're running will be compatible with the version you're upgrading to. And we can see here that they are all compatible, so we're ready to upgrade. So click through, it'll actually prompt you to shut down, so it'll shut down the existing instance, reminding you that you might want to tell your users that you're doing that. Then it will back up your config files, install the project, and launch the new copy of our products. So in this case, you can see JIRA is up and running, and the thing that's going to save you the most time is the in-place database migration. So notice here, I didn't have to export my XML file and re-import it. And the last thing, remember that image that was missing? It'll prompt you and show you that you need to just copy it into the new location. And then if we refresh, we can see that that logo is back as well. So there you go. We upgraded from JIRA 4.3 to 4.4 whilst I'm on stage. It's going to save you a ton of time. And the thing that I also glossed over is that in-place database migration. So you notice there I didn't back up my data to XML and then create a new database and then re-import my data. Right? And that's the part that takes you guys a long time. If you have a lot of data, that can take hours. And we've changed that. So now we have an in-place database migration that will do that data update in place, and that means we can go from a 10-hour upgrade process down to a 10-minute upgrade process. So again, there's an unattended upgrader. If you do this across multiple systems, you can build and script it. So this is available in beta today. We'd love you to download it and test it, give us feedback, and we're pretty sure we've achieved our goal of making you guys happy. Now, once you've installed and upgraded our products, the next thing you need to do is understand how to use them, how to get the most from our products. And you go, what's the things to learn? How do I set up JIRA properly? How do I, interact with it, set up bugs? How do I customize my custom fields? How do I set up my screens to the way I want them? How do I work with my workflows and map my workflows to my business processes? How do I install and set up Confluence to make sure that I'm collaborating properly with my team, working with creating specifications? How do I set up my build tools to get the most productivity out of my team? And we have instructor-led training for this, right? So about 20% of you attended instructor-led training on Monday that takes you through how to become a power user. But what about the users back home? They have questions too, often simpler questions, how do I create a project? Like what's an issue and why would I create one? How do I make my pages look nice? How do I customize Confluence to make things look good? How do I protect pages from being viewed by other people? Right? So these guys have questions, and they're often asking you. And it's not just one person asking questions. You come back from this conference and you go home, and people will come around and ask you dozens of questions, and it's dozens of people, right? There are many people asking you questions, and it's not just the people who are on your teams today. It's the people that get joined and added to teams all the time. New people that get added to your company, get added to your team, and those people don't just get added one at a time. They often get added by the dozens. I was wondering if anyone would get that joke. So we set out to solve this problem. We want you to spend your time building software and not answering questions about our products. And so we have, I think we've come up with an answer. It's called Atlassian University. And the goal of this university, the sole goal, is to turn your end users, the end users of your products, into experts without needing to ask you a single question. Now, with all things academic, there's a certain protocol that needs to be followed. So I'd like to invite our Dean of Admissions, John Carlo, to the stage to talk more about Atlassian University. John Carlo.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone. Atlassian University features interactive training for JIRA, Confluence, and Greenhopper. It's built on top of the products and allows you to walk through features, configurations, and day-to-day usage of the products. A lot of you here today were part of our extensive beta. We gathered a lot of feedback and put all this into the Atlassian University that you see today. Sorry about that. So we had over 350 companies and hundreds of users utilizing Atlassian University during the beta. We got a lot of great comments, and here's some comments from our power users. Over 1/3 of the users found Atlassian University beta so useful that they decided to invite their coworkers. Let's jump through a demonstration of Atlassian University. Hopefully you and your teams will find that useful. At Atlassian, we think Atlassian University will save you and your team heaps of time. And today, we're launching Atlassian University with 65 lessons. It costs just 10% on top of the product that you're interested in getting training for, and starts at just $10. To put that into perspective for you, for less than a cup of coffee, you can get 1 year of training for one user. And before I go, I want to offer one last thing. For some special folks in the audience, if you could just look under your chair and see if you have this certificate, and kind of wave it around for us so we know who actually got it. Everyone here at Summit now has a free year of tuition to Atlassian University. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback and hope you enjoy your training sessions. Happy training, everyone.
Thank you, Giancarlo. We're really excited about the university. We think you guys are going to save a ton of time answering questions from your end users, right? So this morning we've shown you about installing and upgrading our products, and we've shown you how to get the most out of them by training and teaching your end users. But there's the odd occasion that you may need to reach out to us for support to get your questions answered directly. And last year we had Andrew, our head of support, come and give a presentation around the things we were doing to improve support for you. And it was actually one of our highest rated sessions at the Keynote last year. So I'd like to invite Andrew back to the stage this year to talk about some of the exciting developments we've got in Atlassian support. Thank you, Andrew.
Well, good morning, everyone. So, legendary service. I'm sure there's not anyone in the audience here that doesn't know that Atlassian, we say we want to deliver legendary service to all of you. And I know what you think. You think to yourself, yeah, lots of companies have statements like this, and what does it really mean? Well, I want to tell you it really means a lot to us. We think every day about how we're going to deliver you guys legendary service. And why is that? Well, I'm sure a lot of you know about the mantra of legendary service, but I don't think a lot of you will know that the very first thing this company did, it actually didn't start out as a software development company, it didn't start out as a software tools company, it started out as a support company. In fact, sitting over Mike and Scott's heads is the very first sales order from Reuters for 5 support incidents. So legendary service goes back to the very core of our beginnings. So I want to share with you today 3 areas we've been focusing on over the last year to deliver that legendary service. And the first of those is around product quality. You give us great feedback every day around... Let me just get the right slide here. Pushed too early. You give us great feedback every day when you log your support issues. You give us feedback on what features you want, what causes you frustration. We also obviously get a lot of data through support.atlassian.com, and we mine that data and we combine that with your feedback, and we work with product management, with development. And I'm really excited to say that these are your top 3 areas. I'm not excited to say these are your top 3 areas, but what I'm really excited to share with you today is what we've been doing in these areas. The top 3 areas are install and upgrade, it's plugin issues, it's user management. Who in the audience has ever logged an issue around one of these 3 areas? Yeah, no surprises there. So what have we been doing? Well, Scott shared with you the first of these areas. In the next versions of JIRA and Confluence, we're shipping brand new version of the installers. It'll detect your modifications, as you saw with what Scott did. It'll check for the plugin compatibility. It'll migrate your settings. It'll just generally reduce the angst, the time, and give you more confidence in your upgrades. The next of these is the area we addressed is plugin issues. We launched last year the Universal Plugin Manager. It's now shipping in all our products. It lets you check for compatibility before an upgrade. It lets you check if new versions of your plugins are available. And right now, over 12,000 of you every month are checking for new versions of your plugins to be available. Over 1,700 of you check every month to see if the upgrade you're about to do, that the plugins you have on your instance are compatible with it. And that's a whole bunch of avoided plugin issues. And lastly, the user management. You told us a lot that user management in Confluence and JIRA was really, really difficult. And so with the latest versions of Confluence and JIRA, we're shipping integrated LDAP. It adds POSIX schema support, nested group support. It lets you test your settings and check them before you save them. It saves the need for a restart. It's a huge step forward. In fact, I can tell you that those three areas account for 32% of the issues we have into support. So we think that's a huge step forward in addressing some of the frustrations you have in our products. But it doesn't stop there. The odd bug slips out with any software company, and we work really, really hard to address those bugs as quickly as possible. In fact, over the last year, we've fixed over 4,500 bugs across our products. Now, that's around 375 bugs fixed every month, or 90 per week, 18 per weekday. Why am I taking the time to talk to you about those numbers? I think you can all do the maths yourself. Well, back in about, I think it was October, November, Microsoft shipped Office 2011. I run a lot of our support analytics using Visual Basic scripts and spreadsheets. And there was some major bugs in that Excel 2011, I can tell you. There was one I logged in January around the way pivot tables worked and interacted with Visual Basic. And Microsoft acknowledged it was a bug. It was fixed per their forums in a couple of weeks. I waited 3 months to get that first service pack release and get that bug fixed. So I thought to myself, boy, what's the experience like for our Atlassian users? And I went back and I talked to the teams around Christmas time and I said, 30 days between a major release and a minor release and a maintenance release, that's just not quick enough. So I really challenged the team to work with the developers and work with product management. And I'm really excited to tell you that the latest releases of JIRA and Confluence, we got the first maintenance release out in 15 days. That's twice as fast as we were before. I'm going to take those processes that we've learned and we're going to drive them into every one of our maintenance releases going forward. But of course, it doesn't just stop at product quality. The second area I want to talk to you about is what we think is where the greatest gains are to be made in awesome, legendary service, and that's around self-service. Stood on the stage last year and I talked about Hercules. Hercules is our support bot. Runs on support.atlassian.com. When you log in and log your issue, it scans your description file, it scans your log files, and even before you've had an engineer assigned to your issue, if it finds a known issue or known knowledge base article or thinks some documentation might help you out, it sends you back a link to that literally in seconds. Well, we thought to ourselves we can take that one step further. We can bring Hercules to your instance of JIRA and Confluence. And so here you'll see our Support Tools plugin. It's scanning your log files, often finding issues before you even know you've got them. It lets you click on a link from the admin console, find a known problem, and what you'll see is you'd have been trying to search through a log file like this and find this one line for that known issue. So that's Support Tools plugin, which we've shipped for JIRA and Confluence. It's now bundled in the product. How cool is that? I want to ask how many of you let your support team write a plugin and ship it bundled in your product? That's a pretty impressive result, I think. I'm pretty proud of that as a support for the support team. And what we're announcing today is effective immediately. The Support Tools plugin is available for download on Fisheye, Crucible, and Bamboo. And that team has assured us they trust the support team just as much and are going to ship that bundle in the product in the upcoming releases. Thank you. But of course, you don't always find that a problem has an error in a log file. And so, again, we thought, what could we do? When you're logging a support issue, we thought we could scan exactly as you're typing it in the description and see if we can match up and save you even having to log the support issue. So we launched a tool called Virgil. It's a cool piece of JavaScript that as you're typing in your problem description on support.atlassian.com, it starts to match that to known problems. Here you'll see a JIRA locking issue. And immediately prompts you with some known links to some known issues that might match that, and you can click that, link to that, and away you go, and no need to even get to logging a support issue. Now, we know that a lot of you have your own databases, and of course you've got your own JIRA instances, so we actually blogged the Virgil code and how to set that up for your instances and use all your data sources. So go to blogs.atlassian.com, search for the word Virgil, and you'll find out how to do that. But of course, none of that's any good, Virgil, Support Tools plugin, Hercules, if we don't back into great databases. So we've worked really hard in the last year on working on both the quantity and the quality of our knowledge bases. And I'm really pleased to tell you that we've increased a number of our knowledge base articles by 34% during the last year. But there's no point in having those articles there if they're not high quality. Now, Summit last year, we talked about the knowledge base survey plugin tool, and we've used that tool that we wrote to survey you guys and what you think of our knowledge base articles. Now, I don't know about you, but in fact, I just recently had a problem with Retrospect, which I use for backing up our machines at home, and a sleep issue, and I typed it in, and I got 10, 20, 100 knowledge base articles matched on the websites. Not one of those had anything to do with the error I got. And so we were really pleased to find that 1 in 2 of you said the knowledge base article we searched and found you helped your problem. We think that's an awesome endorsement of the quality of the knowledge base articles we've got. But finally, we've got a bit of announcement here at Summit. We know that as Atlassian users, you use our products in some awesome ways. I've just been truly stunned by some of the things I've heard you guys have been doing over the last 24 hours. We know you love to share that knowledge. We know that the first thing you do to share that isn't jump on support.atlassian.com and share it with us. In fact, you go to Google, you tweet it, you share it with your neighbour. Atlassian users are very social users. Heck, you come to Summit to make friends and to share your ideas. So to allow you to take those friendships back with you to when you go home, we're announcing today Atlassian Answers. It's your community site. It's got some great, cool new features. Lets you gain a profile, gain a reputation, get kudos, promote great answers up the list, and generally share your ideas as a community. Now, I'm committing to you that development and support from Atlassian will be on Answers and helping you out with some solutions. But really, this is your community site, and I really encourage you guys to make it a success. So Hercules, Virgil, knowledge base, Answers, lots of great self-service options for you going forward. How successful has those product improvements and those self-service options been? Now in support land, we measure this stuff in a thing called contact rates. Sounds pretty technical, but basically it's just how often do you need to contact us in a given period of time. And I can tell you that the focus on those 2 areas has seen a 10% reduction in contact rates over the last year. And that's a huge gain in time for you guys. But of course, sometimes you still need to contact support. And so when you do, we aim to make that truly awesome experience. Now that starts with understanding where you are, what skills you need, what products you're buying. There's no point in us being in Australia if you're in the US. You log a issue when we're asleep, we answer it when you're asleep. It's kind of weird, some sort of jet lag effect. It's pretty annoying for all of us. So starting about 18 months ago, this is kind of where we were. We were very heavily based out of Australia, no surprises there. Not so well servicing, particularly the US East Coast. And so leading up to Summit 2010, we built a whole new team servicing the East Coast of the US and redistributed our resources and our skills to be more appropriately positioned around you. That's where we were in 2010. The green lines, blue line is where you were. And we've continued on that process over the last year, further increasing our resources in Europe and the US, and further redistributing our skills. But then we started to have a look at that, and it seemed, kind of surprising. 20% of you don't obviously like to sleep very much. 20% of you logged your issues outside of working hours. Now, maybe you were night shift workers. Maybe you just were logging an issue before you went to bed and thought, hey, it'd be cool if I actually had an answer when I woke up in the morning, or maybe you just get a head start on the day. But we thought, hey, we can help you with that. We can push that to our Awake geo and have an answer there waiting for you in the morning, or maybe just work with you during night shifts so that your team is ready and ready to work in the morning. And we also thought a little further. It's like, well, we don't want to get into that sort of weird jet lag effect again, so we included a workflow that lets you push that issue back to your Awake geo. Wake up, get your answer, say, but now I want to work during the rest of the day with someone in my time zone. We handle that as well. It's your choice. And how have we gone in terms of those changes, the out-of-workflow hours changes, the resourcing? Well, these are the response times we commit to you in our various criticality levels. And over the last year, with those changes, we've improved our initial response times by 25%. So that's 25% faster at getting to your issues. And the quality is an amazing 85%. Now, customer satisfaction surveys are notoriously internal. Vendors don't often share the questions they ask. But let me give you a bit of a comparison. I spent 11 years in service and support at Apple. They, in public surveys, which independent companies do, they're 5-10% ahead of most of their competition in terms of customer service. They also do internal surveys, and I can tell you that their internal surveys are very, very similar to ours, probably almost identical, you might say. And in their surveys, in their internal surveys, they're getting about 80 to 85%. So we're equal, if not better, than Apple. So we're really proud of our customer satisfaction surveys, our results. But of course, a number of you came to me last year and said, yeah, that's great, but DevTools support, which is Clover, Crucible, Bamboo, Fisheye, doesn't always get the same attention. And I took that feedback really seriously, and we went away with and thought about it as a support team, and we said, how can we get a better experience? We repositioned our skills, we repositioned our resources. We finally got to 24/5, and I can tell you the results of that were stunning. DevTools support is now hitting 95% of their issues inside those initial response times, up 45% on a year ago. Overall resolution time is up 20%, and customer satisfaction is 10%. They're the leading team in our support organisation at the moment. And I'd just like to take a moment to thank Dylan and his team for an amazing effort in focusing on giving you guys awesome DevTools support. So that's the three areas I wanted to tell you we've been focusing on: product quality, self-service, and awesome support. We'll continue to focus on giving you legendary service. But before I go, I wanted to give you one little sneak peek into what we're delivering in the future. We know that a lot of you have to do your install and upgrades on the weekend. And we see that when those upgrades don't go so well, the level 1 and level 2 issues, my production is down or critically not performing. And we see an hour or two later, as you start to realize maybe we don't offer weekend support, you see the escalation, the please help. And I read those, and I speak on behalf of the support team in saying that really cuts at our heart. So today we're announcing a new product. That product is weekend support for critical issues. We're offering it across our product line, and it's available from July 1st. Now, of course, I had to pull a few favours with the support team. It takes a fair bit of process organisation to do this. It costs a bit of money. So we had to think about how much this product was going to cost. But taking a lead from Giancarlo, for the audience here today, we're going to give you the first year of weekend support for critical issues for nothing. For nothing extra on what you're paying now. In fact, it's Atlassian. We love to be equal to everybody. We're going to offer it for no more extra than you're paying now to every one of our 30,000 customers. Weekend support for your critical issues. No longer do you have to worry about getting your dev team back up and running on that Monday morning. 1,000 users coming in. I know how it feels. So with that, I'd like to finish up. A quick plug for some awesome sessions. We had one yesterday, but there's another 4 today that are going to go into a lot more detail on some of those tools we've been working on. We love to share our knowledge. We love to help you implement those same technologies. And with that, I'll hand you back to Scott.
Well done, mate. Thanks. Wow, weekend support for critical issues. That's going to save you guys a ton of time. That and the installers mean, again, you've got no excuses not to be running the latest versions of our products. You guys may know that where the name Atlassian comes from. Now, as Andrew mentioned, before we produced products, Atlassian was actually a support company. We actually provided third-party support for a product that was out of Sweden. And when we thought about our company name, we thought, well, what we wanted is to have a company all about legendary service for our customers. And Atlassian comes from the word Atlas, right? And those of you who, I don't know, how many of you understand Greek mythology? It was basically Atlas that stood on top of what are the Atlas Mountains now and held up the sky from falling. And we thought that was one of the original acts of legendary service. And that's where the name Atlassian comes from. So legendary service is in our blood, and we're excited every year to improve and sort of be world leading in this regard. So this morning we've talked about how to unlock the potential in your products. We talked about how there are hundreds of plugins out there that you should be using. You should be checking out plugins.atlassian.com for those things. We talked about how our install and upgrade process is going to make it easier for you to run in the latest versions. We talked about how the university is going to save you guys time answering questions for your end users, but also make sure that your end users become experts. And Andrew talked about the incredible changes we're making in support. So if you do have any questions now whilst you're here, we have the Atlas bar outside this afternoon, and we have some, I guess, better demos of the installation process that are going to be running this afternoon. So next up, I'd like to talk about a trend that we're seeing in software development. And this trend is the compression of time from when you write code to when you ship it to customers. Now, in the sort of bad old days of waterfall, you could write code and it could be an entire year between writing code, getting it out to customers and finding out if what you built actually solves their needs. Right? It could be 12 months before you really get any feedback about, are you building the right thing? And for some dev teams, it was multiple years. And that all changed with the introduction of Agile. So with extreme programming and Scrum introduced the concept of a 2-week sprint with the idea at the end of every 2 weeks, you can release your product to customers and get feedback. And now that was sort of extended by the lean software movement, so the lean startup movement. And the idea behind them, they really codified, build the minimum feature set that you can, get it out to customers, measure that feedback, and then feed that back into the development process. So it's a very iterative, feedback-driven cycle. And then you're seeing the introduction now of the DevOps movement, which is the combination of development and operations. And that's about the integration of those two areas and getting code out to production, getting code through the operations team a lot faster. So this cycle, this concept to launch cycle that we've talked about for a few years now, it's compressing. And the best development teams in the world and some of our best customers are releasing every day, if not multiple times a day. Facebook released to production every single day. Etsy released to production between 10 and 20 times a day. And I was we had a presentation yesterday from the guys at Turner Broadcasting, and they're releasing to CNN.com, to NBA.com, multiple times a day, and it's developers who are pushing all the way through to production, which is pretty incredible. But the thing for you guys is you don't necessarily have to push all the way to production to get feedback. So we're extremely excited about the Confluence 4.0 editor, right? The Confluence 4.0 editor has been internal testing now for 3 months. And we've been releasing between 10 and 20 times a day internally. So our developers have been pushing all the way through to our dog fooding server. And we've created this feedback form that sits in every single page in Confluence. And just over the last 3 months, we've had over 900 pieces of feedback. That's 900 pieces of feedback that we wouldn't have got if we waited even just 3 months longer to ship this software. And those 900 pieces of feedback have gone into making the Confluence editor that you see today, the awesome editor that we've launched in beta. So this feedback cycle makes you make better decisions. It allows you to see whether that small workaround that I hacked into the code is enough, or if I need to go back and spend a lot more time building out a proper fix, right? You don't know that until you can get feedback from your users. And you all tell us that, yep, I agree with that. It's a good idea. I'd love to get more feedback from my customers. I'd love to get, releasing faster, whether it's internally or externally, but there's things that slow me down. I've got builds that break all the time. Like I can have builds that go for days, being broken, and it's hard for us to fix them. There's no way we can release frequently if we have these broken builds. For some of you have builds that take 24 hours. And you can't be releasing every day if your builds actually take longer than a day to complete. Some of you will be using branches and multiple streams of source control to control this, and it's difficult to understand what's happening in your environment. You need to go around and talk to engineers. And again, you can't be releasing 10 times a day if you need to go around and talk to all your engineers. So I'd like to talk to you about some of the features we have, some of the features we've built over the last year and some we're announcing today that help you build and ship your code faster to get feedback. So it starts with source control. Well, firstly, it starts with coding, I guess, and you need a source control tool that allows you to code at a faster speed. So distributed version control, beyond giving you offline access, which is great for those of you who code on the train, and it's a lot faster because all your commits are local. But what this means is that you end up doing more frequent commits. So instead of taking a whole week and then checking in on Friday afternoon before you go home for the weekend, you can check in incrementally, which means you are in a releasable state more frequently. Now, the other part is that because these tools are distributed, they've made it very easy to merge your code in, right? So because they've had multiple branches, they've had to deal with this problem, it means that merging is easier. And of course, that means that branching is easier. And a big part of running more frequent releases is that you can run multiple branches. You can have a production branch ready to go, and that is always green, right? You don't only merge stuff into that production branch when it's ready to go and it's been tested and been through your continuous integration system. So the fact that you can merge more easily means you run more branches. And we told you last year that distributed version control was important. And over the course of the last year, we've shipped DVCS support for all of our products. All of our products now support Git and Mercurial. And we know many of you are still at the early stages of adopting distributed version control, and you're wondering, well, which one of these should I go for? And as a company, we're going to support both of them in all of our products. But many of you are going to come from Subversion, right? And for Subversion, we believe that the easiest migration path is going to be to Mercurial, because Mercurial has a similar command set. It's a lower learning curve for your users. And so, as well as supporting Mercurial in all of our products, we acquired Bitbucket, which is the #1 Mercurial hosting service last year. And we've started to integrate with our products. And we've also moved our internal development teams over to Bitbucket. And now we're using that for our source control system. So we think distributed version control is going to be a huge part of you doing more frequent releases. And every startup that we talk to, every one of these teams that are doing these fast and frequent feedback cycles, all of them are using distributed version control. So once you've got this code, right, once you have You're using multiple branches and one for production, one for testing, and maybe even advanced branching, where you're actually running a different branch for individual features. You need to get an understanding of where all this code is, what's been merged into trunk, who's working on what branch, what bugs have been fixed and where. Have I done this merge? Do I need to do code review? What's the quality of each of these different branches? And these are the problems that we found internally when we moved our development teams to using DVCS. And I'm pleased to say that we announced yesterday was the commit graph visualization in Fisheye. And this allows you to get a bird's eye view of your code across all the branches that you have. And allows you to make smarter decisions around merging and branching and what's ready to go to production. So I'm going to show you how the Fisheye commit graph, I think it's one of the best features we've ever produced at Atlassian, right? I'm going to show you how the Fisheye commit graph is going to change the way that you use source control. So here's what it looks like. We have the commit graph, you can see, available for any bit of code, and it shows you the branches you have on the left in the vertical columns, each with a different color. And on the right-hand side, it shows you all the commits across all the branches and highlights the issue keys if you've referenced one in your commit comment. Now, you can click on any node in the graph on the left-hand side, and that will show you where that code has been committed to and where that change has been merged to. So you can use this to understand, okay, has that change I've made in the bug fix branch, did that change get moved into production, or is it still waiting? I can see which branches are in use and which branches people are working on. So this is going to change the way that you visualize and understand and work with multiple branches in your version control system. Now, some of you think in terms of issues and features rather than in terms of individual commits. And so we've handled that case as well. If you change the highlight to JIRA issues, we will highlight basically across JIRA issues whether that issue spans multiple commits, right? So you think, okay, I've got features and they may take multiple commits. Where has that entire feature been merged to? Did I do a different fix on the bug fix branch to the production branch? We think this is going to change the way you guys work with source control. And for those of you that care deeply about quality, you want to understand what is the quality of each of my branches before I do any merges. And so we have a highlight that shows you the code reviews that have been done using a simple red, yellow, and green metaphor, with green being code reviews that have been completed. Yellow is code reviews that are still open, still haven't been completed, and red shows you code that has been committed that hasn't got any code reviews associated with it. So this allows you to make decisions. I only want to merge stuff into production once it's been reviewed, has a code review finished by it. So this is going to change the way you work with source control. And of course, drag and drop interface to change the columns. You can add and remove different branches because, let's face it, sometimes you only want to look at a subset of your code. So you might only want to work with two branches. I'm just going to merge my changes back into the main line. So let's view that. And of course, all the highlighting still works. You saw the interface. It's very dynamic. It is very quick, and it highlights all the things you need to know. So I'm really excited about the commit graph. We launched it today. Fisheye 2.6 has it in there, and it's going to change the way that you guys work with source control. So I'm really excited about that. And I think this is another, we've removed another stumbling block for you to get your code out to your users and get feedback faster. Then once you've done your code and you understand where it is, you then need to build it. Okay? And build tools. Well, today I'd like to show you about the things we've built into our build tool, Bamboo, that make it easier for you to get your code shipped faster. So first up, most build tools have the concept of some sort of task, right? So, I want to compile my code, or I want to run an Ant task, or I want to run Maven, and they're great for simple tasks, right? But the issue you always find with most build tools is once you want to do something complicated, once you want to go beyond that sort of simple, just compile one thing, you end up writing shell scripts to do your work. And the problem with shell scripts is they're great for one or two builds, but if you're going to run builds for individual branches, or you're going to create and remove builds frequently, You can't be working with brittle shell scripts, right? You don't want to accidentally, run an old shell script that's running against a different branch and, deploy the wrong thing to production. So we've taken the concept of tasks and we've extended them. We've made tasks for everything that you can do in a build system. And these tasks aren't just about compiling code and building your software projects. These tasks also allow you to deploy to production or your QA system. So to take an example, we built a task recently that actually takes your WAR file, if you're running Java, and deploys that to a running Tomcat instance. So you can build these tasks and assemble them in different ways, and it makes it much easier, rather than working with configuration files and perhaps making some mistakes, much easier to set up your build system to run across multiple builds and then deploy to production. Bamboo also has the concept of stages. And stages allow you to visually represent your build. So you get an understanding, again, of, okay, what are the different things that happen as I build my software project? Now, these stages, beyond having an awesome visual representation, they also give you faster feedback. Because when an individual stage fails, it fails the entire build. And that means you don't have to wait until the end of the build is finished to get feedback, right? Which is important because your build might take a long time, but something's failed at the very start. You don't want to wait hours to get feedback, and stages allow you to do that. Stages also allow you to run parallel builds, right? And the idea behind that is that these individual jobs can run in parallel, saving you time. And one example is, Selenium tests. You might want to test across multiple browsers at the same time. And we all know Selenium tests aren't necessarily the fastest things, so you want to run them in parallel. But some less obvious, uses for parallel builds is even your unit tests, your integration tests. At Atlassian, we had one of our sort of unit tests, or one of our unit test suites, took an hour to run. And so we actually went and split it up into 10 smaller test suites and ran them all in parallel. And we actually use Bamboo's EC2 capabilities to run them on the EC2 agents. And so that gets our feedback down from an hour to run our unit and integration tests down to 6 or 7 minutes. Right? This makes a huge difference, that feedback, because no developer wants to commit and find out hours later that they've broken the build. They want to find out before they go home. Stages also allow us to have artifact passing, because if you're then going to push your build system into production, the last thing you want is to accidentally deploy something that you haven't tested into production, right? You don't want to test one thing and then find out you're actually deploying something completely different to your production system just because something changed in the middle. So with Bamboo's artifact passing, you can create, say, your website in the build stage. You can pass that exact artifact through to your testing phase, and it's the exact same bit of artifact, and then it can deploy pushed all the way through to the deployment phase. Now, artifact passing and stages give us the concept of manual stages. And see, next to deployment on the screenshot, there's a little button there, and that indicates that that is a manual stage because, whilst we all like walking the tightrope, it's kind of nice to have a little safety net underneath this occasionally. So before we deploy to production, we might want to run some, smoke tests. We may want to make sure that, we're not deploying in the middle of the day. So we can set up our builds that deploy all the way through to production, but to have the last stage being a manual stage that you manually push it through. So you can build all your artifacts and push it all the way through to production. So between tasks, stages, passing artifacts all the way through your process, having manual builds to then extend your build system into production, and the parallelization that's going to reduce the amount of time means that your build systems are no longer preventing you from deploying more frequently and getting faster feedback from your users. The final thing when I talk to you guys about what's holding you back from moving faster and getting feedback, finding out from your users what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, the final thing is your tools. Your tools need to work together because you can't be walking around asking developers, okay, well, have you finished your code reviews? Is that code moved into this branch? What's happening with the builds? What's in each build? Your tools need to work together and then to highlight where you are in your process. So let me show you some screenshots. Let me show you some of the integrations that we've built between our dev tools. You saw some yesterday, but these ones are specific for the dev tools process. So in JIRA, for example, you can see the source code that's been committed against an issue. And not only that, you can review the issue and say, well, does this source code need to be reviewed before it gets pushed to the next stage? From there, with one click, I can create a Crucible review, including all the source code that's been committed against this issue. Of course, once I'm in Crucible, the reverse is true. Once I'm there and I'm looking through my Crucible reviews and I say, well, this review was created against an issue, what's the details of that issue? I can hover over the issue key and I can see the details of that issue, which means I don't need to leave my workflow of reviewing the code to find out more information. When I'm doing my code review, if I find there's bugs, I might find, hey, look, there's something we really need to fix here. I can create a bug inside JIRA without leaving my code review system. Again, it just saves that workflow change. You don't have to switch back and forth between systems. And of course, when you create the issue, it contains all the information and context about what needs to do, how they need to fix it. And finally, when you've done all that, when you've done your issues and your code review, you've made your changes and you've done your builds, from your build system, you can see what are the changes that got made. And is this build ready for pushing into production? And what changes are going to get pushed when I make that change? So we think the integration is going to make a huge difference, again, without you running around with a clipboard talking to your users, what have you changed? Where have you changed it? So we talked about shipping faster, getting feedback from your users faster. We talked about DVCS and how that's going to allow you to have multiple branches and more frequent commits. We showed you the commit graph, which I think is one of the best features we've produced at Atlassian, and it's going to save you a ton of time of understanding your code base. We talked about the features in Bamboo and how they'll make your builds run faster, and we showed you some of the integration. Now, this is so important to us that we have not only an entire talk about how to migrate your team to DVCS, which is going to go through our experience and help you with that. We actually have no less than 7 lightning talks that go through this process, showing you how to get your build cycles quicker. So the next thing I'd like to talk about, I guess the last thing I'd like to talk about today, is innovation. Now, innovation is core to Atlassian. Like you guys, you're trying to produce the next great product, the next great thing, and it's kind of a nebulous concept because it's very hard to sort of tell someone, go be innovative this afternoon, come back when you're finished. So we have certain programs at Atlassian to help foster innovation. We run FedEx Days, which is a concept that we came up with a few years ago, where a developer gets 24 hours to basically build and ship something, some new product, a new concept, whatever they're interested in. And what it works out for us is that at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, everyone downs their tools on their normal work day and picks up whatever they want. It could be building an iPhone app, they could be building, a new plugin to a new feature or plugin for our products, and then for the next 24 hours they build, and then 3 or 4 p.m. on the Friday we run a demo afternoon where all the developers get to demonstrate to each other what they've built. And it's amazing what people can build in 24 hours if you give them the leverage. Now that was so successful that at Atlassian we then built it into 20% time. So it means 1 day a week, every developer gets to spend on their own projects, whatever they're interested in. And that can be, if they're after, particularly turned away to some bugs that have been bugging them. Maybe they're working on a product and something's not getting scheduled. And they're like, look, I just want to fix this bug. But it's often new features and new functionality and, pie-in-the-sky ideas. So I'd like to show you 3 bits of innovation today, 3 sort of forward-thinking ideas. And they're all very, very different. But the common thread they have is that they're all created in Atlassian's 20% time or in a FedEx day. The other common thing is that they're all created using our plugin system. So none of the things I'm going to show you actually changed our core products. They're built on the same plugin system that you and our plugin developers use to build great functionality. So I'm really excited. There's some really cool things we're going to go through today. The first of which I want to talk about is our plugin system in general. We realized that The plugin system using Java and Maven and so forth and is great. It gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of functionality, and you can see by the plugins we've built, the Glyphies and the Tempos and the Balsamics, that you can do a lot with our products and our plugin system. But we know that more than the 750 plugins we have in the plugin store, there are thousands of plugins that you guys create every day that you don't share with people because they're just some minor modification, making our products easier to use, improving them for your development cycle. And you might use our plugin system to just make small, minor modifications. But we realize that to make small modifications, it's probably overkill to have this big, heavyweight, complicated plugin system. It's great flexibility, but a little bit of a learning curve. So one of our developers, in his 20% time, developed Atlassian Speakeasy. Speakeasy is a plugin system that's a lot simpler, right? So the same aim is the same. You want to augment your products. You want to make them easier, or augment our products, I should say, but augment them in your environment to make them easier for you guys to get your work done. And we realized that there were certain barriers to that. One is that it's not only admins that want to create plugins. All your end users also have the same problems. They want to get stuff done faster in their products. They want to create JIRA issues faster. They want to work with their Confluence pages faster, right? And so it's not just administrators who are creating these plugins. So with Speakeasy extensions, this new Speakeasy extensions, which are this new simplified model, we've created per user plugins. So that means your end users can create their own extensions, right? And these extensions can be used only themselves, and it's not going to modify anyone else's settings, it's not going to tread on anyone else's thing, and this means that your end users can create this functionality a lot faster. The second is that thing that we changed was we thought, well, Java's great and it's extensible and you can build a lot of things with it, but there's a lot of things you can achieve with simple web technologies. With just JavaScript and CSS and HTML, you can modify our products and get a lot of a lot of benefit and value, and these end users can make a lot of changes using really simple web technologies. So the Speakeasy extensions actually only use JavaScript and CSS. Thirdly, we didn't want users to have to download an SDK to get things running, run Maven, have to compile stuff. So with Speakeasy extensions, you can actually create an extension in your browser. We actually ship an editor inside our products, and end users can create this extension in that editor, test it, all without needing an SDK, without needing to download anything, without any Maven, without any XML, without any jar files that you have to create. So it's all done in the browser. And the last thing we realized, if people are going to create these things, these awesome bits of functionality, modifying our products, then they're going to want to share them, right? You want to share them with the guy sitting next to you. And if it's good, they'll improve it and then they'll share it back with you. And so we have built a social model into extensions. So you can create one, share it with other people in your organization and see them improve it. And we've actually been running this internally, and we've seen that actually it's not just the developers that produce these extensions, it's actually product managers. So non-technical people are actually the #1 creator of the extensions inside Atlassian. Let me show you some of the things that have been created using this extension framework that we've only had for a few months internally. If you remember that commit graph that I'm so excited about, well, we showed you 3 things. We showed you that you can see the code changes, we can show the JIRA issues, and you can see the code reviews. And one developer said, well, why don't we highlight by author? You may want to see which authors are working on different branches and what they've done. So in an afternoon, using only JavaScript, CSS, and our Speakeasy extensions, they created the author plugin that allows you to highlight author in that code review, in that commit graph. Taking it one step further, we had another developer, and this developer's sort of passion was translations, and what they built was a Speakeasy extension that actually takes any field inside JIRA, and if you hover over it, if you mouse over it, it will show you what the translation is, right? So if you were looking to translate our products, and you want to say, oh, well, that word's always bugged me, like, it's done wrong for my language, or there's a better translation for it, you can hover over. And not only that, you can click through to our translations website, where you can actually make the change. So these Speakeasy extensions are already saving us a whole bunch of time. And if you're interested in finding out more, Don Brown, the creator of Speakeasy, will be speaking just a little bit after this session this morning, telling you how to create these things for your own organization. The second bit of innovation that I'd like to talk about today is about mobile application development. Now, mobile application development is everywhere. There's hundreds of thousands of iPhone applications. It feels like my mother is building iPhone applications at the moment. And that's fantastic, but the problem is the tools haven't caught up, right? It's the QA tools for testing these mobile applications. It's difficult to get crash reports and feedback from people doing QA. You end up having to email screenshots around or download crash reports and sync phones. The QA processes and the tools are not there. And the other problem that you have when you're building mobile applications is getting feedback from your customers, because often they'll download it from an app store that you may not even control, and you never really get a chance to interact with your end users, get feedback, suggestions for improvement. The first thing you hear about is this angry review on the application store, for your application, and no real way to respond or get more information. So we sat down and we built a library. It's a piece of code that you actually include when you build your mobile application. And this library adds functionality to do that, to help the QA process and to help get feedback from your users. Let me show you how the JIRA Mobile Connect library is going to make it a lot easier to do those things. So say you've got your multi-award winning, hundreds of thousands of users application, and the problem is every time you click on the angry red nerd, the application crashes. If you've used the JIRA Mobile Connect library, then your users will be able to send you crash reports with a single click. And those crash reports are sent directly into JIRA, directly into the system that you want to use to triage them, check if they're duplicates, and it contains all the information you need to do that crash report. And now we know that not only do users want to give you crash reports, they also want to give you other forms of feedback. So if you've built your application using the JIRA Mobile Connect library, your application will get a separate feedback form, right, that you can use to collect information from your customers. Maybe they give you bug reports, maybe they give you feature requests. We also allow you to attach screenshots and even annotate those screenshots using your finger. Now, we know that many of your mobile customers are on the go, so we allow your users to literally voice their concerns by using the mobile phone's recording device to give you quick feedback. We want to make it as easy as possible for your end users to give you feedback. Again, this information is sent straight into JIRA, straight into the tool you want to use to triage it. And it includes not only their comments, but it also includes information like the mobile device that they're running on and the version of your application that they're running, which makes it easier to understand the context, easier to understand where they're coming from. So we know also, once you've got this feedback, that feedback is not only a one-way communication channel. You want to be able to communicate back with your users. You want to ask them for more information, or maybe just thank them for their bug report and say, hey, look, we really appreciate you being a customer. When you add a comment, that comment will be sent back to your mobile application. And we think this is the start of a two-way dialogue with your users, right? Rather than just getting an angry review in the App Store, you actually have a two-way conversation and turn your users into fans. And of course, again, it's this feedback cycle. It's getting feedback from your customers to help you produce better applications. And of course, you want to see some aggregate stats, right? You want to see where your users are around the world. And you also want to find out what devices they're working on and what versions of your product they're reporting issues against to help you make better decisions. So we're launching the JIRA Mobile Connect library today. That is the beta user mailing list. If you're interested, please send an email to sign up. And we also have a whole bunch of information at atlassian.com/JMC, the JIRA Mobile Connect library. So if you're a mobile application developer, please check it out. We have an iOS library shipping today, and we're building an Android library over the next few weeks. And the price for this is today we're giving it away free for every one of you. Every customer gets to use this Mobile Connect and bundle it for free with their application. So again, it's taking mobile application from this. So we're going to give the tools to you mobile application developers to make better feedback from your customers. So the last thing I'd like to talk about today, and something I'm really excited about, is the future. We are looking now 5 or 10 years into the future, right? So not just today. We're looking, okay, what does software development look like in 5 or 10 years? Well, how are we going to interact with computers? And we thought that we started off, once upon a time with, keyboard input devices. That's how you worked with a computer. Then we had voice recognition and voice input. And finally, as I see here today, many of you using touch input devices. And we're really excited because we started thinking about, what if you had touchless devices? What if you had a device you didn't actually need to touch to interact with? And this is such a crazy idea. That we had to bring someone from the future back today to show you how this works, okay? So here we are. We brought someone from the future to come back and explain how this is going to work. At the moment, Darth Vader may need to bide some time while we work out what is happening with the TV. I'll see if I can do this touchless. If I have a remote, then I won't need to touch the TV. Can we have some music while we wait? Hey, there we go. Sorry, Darth, sorry. So this is the future of input devices. This is a touchless interaction. Let's see how Darth Vader interacts with the wallboard without having to touch it. Now, you may have thought Darth Vader was a hands-on manager. So we see that he's reviewing the Death Star schematics. They're up at the moment, and see all the things that need to get done. Let me just hang there for a moment and read some of them out because we can't see. We have teach Ewoks to sing, destroy the Death Star, complete the Death Star. The Wookiee has to improve the hyperdrive on the Millennium Falcon. And we've got to train some more stormtroopers because we keep getting killed. That's, yep, definitely need to do that. And one of the stormtroopers has to prepare the carbonite for Han Solo to be frozen. So let's see what else there is. There's a lot of work to be done. You can see no one is actually getting anything done on the Death Star at the moment. It's a little bit of a problem. And we can see that some of the tests are failing. And well, hang on, the Death Star security tests are failing. That's not good. Who's responsible for the Death Star security tests? I think that is Nick Muldoon here is responsible for the Death Star security tests. I don't think this is going to end well for you, Nick Muldoon. The Force is not just for TVs, my friends. So, let's have a look at, I guess all Jedis can, do it with one hand, with their right hand. What about, are you ambidextrous, Lord Vader? Can you do it with your left hand? Ah, ambidextrous. Okay, well, it's one thing to just view information, right? It's one thing to come up here and just wave your hand around. It's another one to actually interact with a wallboard, right? Actually make some changes. Let's see you do that. Even Darth needs to log in, unfortunately. So let's see what we can do here. Let's, what should we do today? Should we inform Luke about his paternity on the bottom? Oh, what should we do on the bottom left? No. Complete the Death Star. That's probably too much for one day. Let's leave that till tomorrow. I know you all have cards like that you go to the wall and no, that's too much. I'll leave that for tomorrow. Let's see. Let's move a few things across. Let's fix that. That's right. That security bug in the Death Star. Let's move that in progress. We're going to have to find a new assignee now that we've taken care of Nick. Then what else should we do? Let's move the paternity one across. Let's go inform Luke of his paternity. Fantastic, Darth. Well, seems like you've got a lot of work to do this afternoon. So thank you very much for coming on stage. I appreciate it. And let's give a round of applause to Darth Vader. So that's the future, guys. And you can't see under Darth's hat, right? Because he's got his mask on. But Darth is, under his hat, he is one very happy nerd. Now, this technology that we have here, we have available for you to try out today. You can use the Force yourself. We're going to have demonstrations out on level 5 and on level 3, so you too can try to see what the future of wallboards is like. And if you want to see how we did it, the technology behind it, you can go see the information that we have at 2 p.m. this afternoon. So we chat today about 3 things, all about helping you get the most out of your software development teams, unlocking the potential in our products, so it's easy for you to get the stuff we've already shipped. We've helped you ship code faster and get faster feedback from your users, and we had a bit of fun with some of the innovations that we're launching today. So lastly, I'd just like to say a huge thank you from myself and the team at Atlassian. I wouldn't get to do my job unless you guys were doing your job building awesome products and building innovative tools and products. So I want to say a huge thank you for out there doing what you do and buying our products, and hopefully we help you do what you do. So a huge thank you guys for being our customers. And I couldn't go any further without thanking our staff. There's about 200 staff who are watching this via video in Sydney, and they've done an awesome job of preparing all the products over the last year for release today. And we've got, I think, about 70 or 80 staff around today who've just put an incredible amount of effort making this into an extraordinary production. So can we have a round of applause for our staff? They've just done a fantastic job. And lastly, I'd like to invite Jay Simons, our head of marketing, to the stage. And Jay's going to go through some of the awards we have to hand out today. Thanks, Jay.
All right, so we're bumping up against the break. We're going to fly. This is going to be the fastest awards ceremony ever. Every year we try to recognize great customer achievement with our products. So we've got 3 awards to give. And we've got some trophies up here stage left, and I'm just going to have one person come up and grab it. And we're not going to go into a ton of detail about what they've done, but I promise you we'll have detailed blog posts because they're all really interesting uses of the products. First award is the You've Got Issues Award. Best use of JIRA goes to build.com. Justin's going to come up. Incredible story. Justin was trying to tell me last night about it, and I don't remember half of it because I drank too much. But I do know that they built a payment card compliant, PCI compliant workflow, and he did say that it was like 2 issues per employee are filed and resolved each day, right? So lots of issues. Great job, Justin. This award goes to Fabian Lopez of VX Vista. Where are you, Fabian? VX Vista is an open source service for healthcare records, right? And they're using Confluence to do this, used by 90 countries all over the world to collaborate on healthcare record exchange. Great job. We got the Menage a Trois Award, which is the best use of 3 or more of our tools. And QAD basically completely overhauled a 15-year development cycle process using JIRA, Bamboo, Confluence, Greenhopper, soon adding Fisheye Crucible and everything else. So we wanted to recognize QAD, and that is Patrick Pagatti. Patrick Pagatti. And by the way, did everyone see they get to bring home a mounted stuffed goat? Great job, Patrick. All right. So the Do-Gooder Award is a really special award to us. We recognize basically the best philanthropic use of our software. And most of you know that we give away our software free to open source customers and then also to nonprofits. And last year we recognized Mercy Ships, which basically has these big boats that go to places that need healthcare and unload a bunch of doctors and medical supplies on shore. This year, we are recognizing the International Potato Center, which, and I think we're going to bring up the gentleman from the International Potato Center. Before we do, there's one quick video that probably doesn't have sound.
Hello, my name is Rainer Simon. I'm from the International Potato Center, an international organization that works with potato, seed potato, to help the poor of this world out of hunger and poverty. We are having about 30 country offices in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. The Atlassian Conference helped us to keep all the hundreds of documents up to date that we need in our gene bank quality management system. It is a key component of our work. And that helped us to focus really on our own activities, that is to help the poor using our products, that is potato and seed potato varieties. Thank you, Atlassian, for enabling us to do our job better and for the $10,000 cash award.
Great. Reinhard, come up here. So we're donating $10,000 to the International Potato Center on behalf of Reinhard and his great work. And all you need to know is he's doing incredible things with potatoes. We got him a Mr. Potato Head mounted trophy. Thanks, Reinhard. Okay, I'm bringing us back on schedule. We got 4 awards to give out for CodeGeist. So CodeGeist, you know, is our annual coding competition for plugins. And we had 4 categories that we recognized great achievement in. There were a whole bunch of participants, a whole bunch of submissions. You can go to Atlassian.com/CodeGeist. We gave away $45,000 in just cold, hard cash to developers that built great things. The first prize is the best overall plugin. You saw it yesterday. It goes to Tobias Ansett for the e-publisher for Confluence. Tobias won $15,000. Great job, Tobias. Go buy yourself some more skirts, man. Community prize. This was the highest vote getter among all the people that were basically voting on the entries. This went to JIRA, and accepting is the developer Vidar Svanson, also $15,000. Jitter, there you go. Good job. Good job. So Jitter is basically Twitter for JIRA. So you can see there's adds a little wall page, and you can basically write a 140-character post, or it looks like a 110-character post. Some innovation going on there. Best Speakeasy extension is the last one that's actually here, and John Mort developed JIRA Instant, which is basically just quick JIRA Instant search, so results as you type. And John, great job. He gets a check for $7,500. Last but not least was JIRA Hero. JIRA Hero, the recipient isn't here, but it was, I didn't write it down. JIRA Hero was basically game mechanics in JIRA. So it awarded you achievements as you did things like created an issue, resolved an issue, assigned an issue, and you could sort of win things like, newborn, the Padawan, the issue snatcher for basically claiming an issue that resolved. Really innovative idea around how to encourage participation. So the developer of that won $7,500 also isn't here, though. So great job, JIRA Hero. Round of applause. Okay. So quick things. Tracks move around today. All you need to do is pay attention to the room assignment. They're a little bit different from yesterday because the State of the Unions are in this room right after the break. Break is right now, and it's only for about 10 minutes, and it's right outside. You don't have to go upstairs anymore. Lunch overflow, I forgot to announce, is actually on the 4th floor, so it was kind of a cluster yesterday. If you don't want to wait around, just go to the 4th floor and grab food. Atlas Bar, don't forget, is on the 5th floor, and slides are on the web right now at summit.atlassian.com/archive. All of the videos of everything we'll try to get up within the next week. Thanks, everybody.